You're listening to the Attempt Adventure Podcast, a podcast about finding adventure every day and making your life a little more interesting. From Dallas, Texas, I'm your host, James Barrett, joined always by my co-host,
Michael DeRogers in Bangkok, Thailand. So, James, first order of business today. Last week, you had to take the first penalty
I did.
because you didn't do anything new. Your penalty was that you had to make a Russian dish. Listeners, if you don't know what we're talking about, we have a game that we play on this show where we have to do something that we've never done before, something new. And it could be as adventurous or as small as we want it to be. If we don't do something new, the other host has to give us a challenge to complete. And if we fail to do that challenge by the next week, we owe our friend $50, which hasn't happened yet and hopefully never will. So this is just to get
Hopefully
us
not.
out and adventuring. Did you do your Russian dish, or do you owe me $50?
I did. I made blini, which are just
Ooh.
pancakes basically, but I burnt them, so it was sad.
That is sad.
The pan I was using was too hot. Whatever. I did it.
Right. Good. Okay. Well, very good. So that was your new adventure, I assume. Did you do anything else new or adventurous this week?
Yes, I don't want double penalty.
There's no double jeopardy in this game. If you have to do a penalty, it's okay if you don't do something else new. Yes. We don't want it to stack. But did you do something new?
Yes. Me and my fiance visited our local skate park, which was tons of fun.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What about you, my friend? Did you do anything new this week?
So, James, you know this. I've been semi-locked down for the last 2 weeks. I tried to do something new, but stuck in my house. Some of the things I had that I was going to do kind of fell through. So, no, I didn't. I've been stuck in my apartment. So, unfortunately, and I don't want this to become a regular thing. Now that, I don't want to be like, oh, the seal is broken, and now neither one of us is going to do something new or
do anything ever.
each other every week. No. But this week, I had circumstances. So
See, yours is more understandable, and I debated on whether or not I should give you a pass or not.
Well, I accept the penalty. I think that there were things I could have done.
Well, we'll make this one easy like you did for me for this first one. See, it's hard because I can't send you out and about. You know, we're just going to go with that one. The same challenge that you gave me. You will get a map and point to it, and you will make a dish from whatever you point to.
Okay. I don't have a physical map, and I'm going to go to a random country generator.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Wheel of random countries. James, I accept your challenge. I'm going to spin the wheel of random countries. Oh my gosh. It has sound effects. I don't think you can hear that.
Oh, no, I can't.
Belgium.
Interesting. What do they eat in Belgium?
Belgian waffles. French fries are Belgian, aren't they?
French fries.
Freedom fries.
Yeah.
Do you remember freedom fries?
I do.
What a weird time. Very good. Well, I will do some research. I'll see what I can make.
I would like to add something to this challenge.
Okay.
If we have a food penalty, I would like to request to make it acceptable if you can find an authentic restaurant. Because sometimes, if I had gotten, Egypt, those ingredients are going to be hard to find.
Right.
So I would say try and make it, but if you can't, try and find a restaurant.
Okay, I can order food in anyway if that has to be, but I think I can probably make something. I will give it my best shot.
You can make fries, but you have to eat them with mayonnaise.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm not a huge fan of mayonnaise.
Oh, are you not?
So, I like it on sandwiches or chicken salad, but I don't think I would want to dip my fries in it.
I kind of like it, but I mix it with the ketchup for my fries. Here's one. How do you feel about British style chips with malt vinegar?
Love it. It's so good. Anytime a place has French fries and they have malt vinegar, I just douse it. It's so good.
Hopefully, we won't make the penalties a regular thing, but I think that we're going to try to structure them. We're going to actually try to make maybe even a list of penalties that we can have an actual wheel of penalty in some sense. And this week, like we said, there are strange circumstances which prevent me from doing a lot of what I could do, but I still want to participate in this challenge, in this game, and so I will.
And sort of along those lines, we are here to announce our new monthly challenge for the month of May.
Yeah, so thank you all who sent in your entries into our April challenge, which was having coffee outside. We really enjoyed them. We're going to be in contact with some of you guys privately to send you some stickers. We had some great entries. We really did.
Hmm. We did.
Well, let's talk about that first, actually. What did you do for your coffee outdoors challenge, James?
I got instant coffee
Uh huh.
and I got water and I
Okay.
put it in a cup on my balcony.
Outside. Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
it's a weird time.
It's following the letter of the challenge, if not the spirit.
Yeah, I had plans too. I was going to go out to a nearby national park and bring my canister stove and make a cup of coffee. But then, like I told you, I got caught in this COVID scare. So I was stuck at home, but I also followed the spirit. Well, I tried to follow the spirit of the challenge. I got my alcohol stove that I use for backpack camping, took it out on my balcony, and made a cup of also instant coffee, but Malaysian white coffee, which got in Hat Yai a couple weeks ago. Great stuff.
That's better.
But it certainly wasn't as good as what any of our listeners sent in. Everybody sent in
No,
really
like
great stuff.
if
So
if we had entered the competition, we would have lost.
luckily, I can get a sticker whenever I want. But thank you all for entering, and we are going to issue you a new monthly challenge.
The new monthly challenge is actually pretty simple. It is maybe even easier than making coffee outside. It is to find and take a picture of your favorite local spot.
Brilliant.
Just whatever your favorite spot is in your local area, take a picture of it.
I like that a lot. All right. Well, very cool. I'm excited to see that again. And you have until the end of the month. So get on it.
All right, you ready to jump into this interview?
So yeah, we have a really interesting interview today. So let's do it. Here we go. Welcome back to Attempt Adventure. Today, I'm joined by special guest Kellie Paxian. Kellie is a digital nomad, world traveler, and adventure entrepreneur, and today she's joining me all the way from Cape Town, South Africa, to talk about solo adventuring, building her brand, and her recent safari in Kruger National Park. So, Kellie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so glad. I was so excited when you suggested this.
Yeah, you've had some really cool experiences that I'm super excited to talk about. But first, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you are and what you're doing there?
Okay. So my name's Kellie. I'm from Canada, from Vancouver originally, and I'm now living as a digital nomad in my favorite place in the world, which is Cape Town, South Africa. So I just work online, so I can kind of live wherever there's Wi-Fi, and Cape Town's my favorite place in the world, so that's where I am based right now. But I travel around like quite a bit. I was in Mexico in the fall for like 2.5 months, and going home to Canada for the summer. So just bouncing around. But yeah, right now I'm in Cape Town, so it's lovely. You've been, right?
Yeah, I have. So back in college, I did a study abroad at Stellenbosch University, not super far away from Cape Town.
A lot of wine.
Yeah, definitely. And we went into Cape Town a couple times during that experience. It was great. It's such a cool part of the world.
Yeah, it's so
So,
stunning.
what brought you to Cape Town the first time?
Originally, yeah, this is my fourth time to Cape Town. I'll kind of like get into this, I guess. So like when I first started, my first real solo trip was a 6-month trip around the world. I was working in PR at the time, and I was just like, I have to go get out there. Like there's so much I want to see. Like I had a friend living in Rwanda at the time. So I went on this trip, and I had like 3 themes for it. So it was called Peace, Play, Passion. So the peace part was Rwanda, and that kind of turned into like a little Africa tour. And then the play part was Southeast Asia and Australia. And then the passion part was Paris. So, anyways, when I came to Rwanda, I heard about Cape Town, and I heard it was like a fun city. I had heard nothing about it really. And I was like, oh, I'm in Africa. I'll just pop down. Meanwhile, it's like a 9-hour flight or something. But
Right.
like, okay, I'm on the continent. So I came down for a week to Cape Town, and yeah, I just fell in love. I was like, what is this magical place? Had the best time. And then I was like, okay, I need to come back. So then I came back the next year for my 30th birthday for another week. And at that point I was like, okay, like this isn't a joke anymore. Like I need to come back for an extended amount of time. Like not a fluke. It's just really is that amazing here. So then I
Awesome.
came
Yeah.
back last year, like 2020, from January to March. Then COVID happened, and now I'm here. I came from January to March, but our visas got extended, so I get to stay till June, I guess. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, if you were, I don't want to say lucky, but if you were happened to be abroad when COVID happened, it made things, I guess, on one hand, a lot easier. Yeah, I've been on an emergency visa for over a year now.
Really? Is that how you're allowed to stay in Thailand that long?
Yeah, well, they closed the borders like March last year, and they're still closed. So they
Oh,
just keep
wow.
extending us 2 months at a time, every 2 months.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, like I did go home during COVID, but this time, yeah, South Africa just extended like all the tourist visas. So, I mean, I did apply and like paid for mine to get
Sure,
extended,
yeah.
but then they announced it anyways.
I don't want to get into too much of like a COVID talk, but in
Yeah.
general, like how is the situation there?
Honestly, it's pretty good. Like, I don't know. I feel so blessed. Like, obviously, we still take precautions. Like, we wear masks
Right,
when we
sure.
go outdoors. There's hand sanitizer for every shop and every restaurant. You have to get your temperature taken, and like, you distance like as much as possible. You just like abide by the rules and the restrictions. But
Yeah.
everything is like pretty much open here. We have curfew from like 12, like midnight till 4 a.m. But other than that, like people were allowed to go out on the beaches. We're allowed to go to like restaurants and bars. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if COVID kind of like swept through South Africa, like especially at the beginning,
Hmm.
because a lot of people I know here have had it. So maybe it's something to do with that. But I feel blessed now. I feel like I'm in like
That's
the best
great.
place in the world for many reasons right now.
Well, you mentioned your first big adventure, which is kind of where I wanted to start today.
Yeah.
So, what kind of inspired you to step out on your own and do that? Because that's a big thing to do. When I moved
Yeah.
here, it was for work, you know. So I'm always really impressed by people that are able to just go out and really put themselves out there and go on a big adventure on their own. I think that's amazing. Like, what was that like? What was going through your head, and what inspired you to do that?
I think that I always loved travel, but travel to me growing up was like going to like Mexico or Hawaii with my family, like,
Hmm.
going to like an all-inclusive resort. But it's like, okay, I love getting away. And then I did like a couple Euro trips, but I never really had a desire to go to like Southeast Asia or certainly not Africa or
Yeah.
anything. And then one of my best friends was swimming in the Olympics in Rio in 2016. So we were going to go see her. Like a couple of us friends were going to go fly there and support and go for the Olympics. So like going, I was like, I have no desire to go to Rio. I'm gonna get Zika virus. I'm gonna get mugged. Like, I'm just like
Right.
not. It's not something that's on my list. But then I went and obviously had the best time ever because Rio is like incredible. So I think from then on, I was just like, take me to the world. Like, I think that when you get out of your comfort zone, you realize like just how amazing it can be. And if you stay stuck in it, you just don't really get a taste of like that adventure. But once you do, you're like, oh, this is the best. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
just so much more to life than like being comfortable. Like when I was living in Vancouver, I loved my job, I loved my apartment, loved my friends,
Hmm.
obviously like love my family and everything. I had the best life, but I was like, okay, I just like kind of want to try something more. I never thought I would move out of Vancouver. And then as soon as I went
Yeah.
on that like peace play passion trip, I was like, I can't go back to my normal life. Like I was addicted to adventure. So yeah, it was scary for sure. Like it's a big step to like go out in the world solo. But I also had like friends along the way. Like I was going to visit my friend in Rwanda and then I visited a friend in Australia. So that kind of helped. It wasn't like I was really alone, but
Right. Right.
you're never really alone when you travel anyways, because there's so many solo travelers and it's so easy to meet people when you stay at hostels and stuff.
People are, yeah, they're always willing to help each other, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
people are always willing to help out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it can seem scary, but I think that if anyone goes, like you'll for sure make friends and it's just going to be so worth it. I think you would regret if you didn't go, but you would never regret going. You're only going to grow stronger and have like amazing experiences.
People put up a lot of hurdles, and people are afraid, and like you said, even if they're not afraid for safety, but just comfort.
Yeah.
I've stayed at plenty of hostels, like really cheap places down here in Southeast Asia. They're not always very comfortable, but
Yeah.
when I get home from those adventures, I'm never like upset about it. I'm never disappointed in that. It's part of the
Exactly.
experience.
It's like you have
It's,
you have a good shower, you scrub yourself down, then you get back in your
that's
bed and you're
right.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, that was amazing." But I think that, like, I don't know, I have a tendency, and I know like some other people do too, where it's like when you're on the trip, sometimes you're like, oh, this is difficult, or like I'm not comfortable or something. And but as soon as you get back from the trip, you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like you always only remember the best things. So I think that's why it's like so important to really like check yourself and like live in the moment while you're on your trip, so that we don't like take it for granted or get lost in like the hard parts of traveling, because there are hard parts, but like we always like appreciate it after. So it's important to like appreciate it in the moment, you know?
I've heard that described as type 2 fun. Like type 1 fun is something that's fun when you're doing it. Type 2 fun is when you look back on it later and you think, yeah, that was awesome.
Oh my God, exactly. It's like, okay, I hate this. I hate every moment of it. But after you're like, that was awesome.
Yeah, and you look back at your pictures, you think, wow, that was a really cool experience. I'm really glad I did that. Well, that was your first adventure. What do you think is the biggest adventure? Would that have been your biggest solo adventure?
Yeah, that probably was, because that was 6 months, like pretty solo around the world. That was what really
Yeah.
like opened my mind up and my eyes up to traveling. And then since then, I mean, yeah, I've now been like, I did a really awesome Central America trip in Colombia. That was amazing. Like I said, this is my fourth time to Africa. I've done like, yeah, safari. Like, I don't know. It's just, honestly, life is crazy. Like, it is such a dream. But yeah, I love traveling for wildlife. So I love like scuba diving and safaris, like gorilla trekking, anything with like wildlife. I'm all about it.
I know that you just got back from a safari, and I'd love to hear about that.
A safari is just like the best experience you could ever give yourself. Like, and obviously it's not cheap, but like people can spend like thousands of dollars going to like an all inclusive resort in Mexico every year, or you can save up and like go on safari. Like, I just can't tell you how like incredible it is to like just be out there in the bush, in nature with the animals. The things you see are just ridiculous. And like, it totally does bring like a new perspective on life, because like as you're watching like a leopard eating its impala in the tree, you're just like, oh, okay, my day's not that bad. You know what I mean?
And I guess it's different. It's not just like something that you see on TV. Like, you see these David Attenborough
Yeah.
documentaries, but you're still removed from it. But I guess when you're actually watching it, it
Yeah,
feels more like authentic, more real.
totally. I think, yeah, I remember my first one was like 3 years ago or something in Rwanda. And I remember like seeing those elephants and just being like, oh my, like you see people's photos, but like in real life, it's just like the magnitude of this like stunning creature in front of you. It just, you cannot compare. And it's just so magical. So yeah, this last one that I went on was in Kruger. It was like a little bit of a tour group with my business, which we can talk about in a bit, maybe Adventureless. I host some tour groups with it. So I had like a couple guests come with me, and we went to Klisiri. We stayed with Zimbabwe lodges, and we stayed at Camp George, Trails Camp, and River Lodge. And we had some crazy, like really crazy encounters, which actually like scared us for our lives, like really got the heart pumping. Because like obviously you are safe on safari. You're in the vehicle as long as you don't do anything stupid, like get up and run away or scream and run around or something.
Right.
You're part of the landscape to them. Like you're part of this vehicle, so they're used to it.
Right.
It's nothing threatening to them. They know it by now, so they wouldn't like attack you. Um, so you're safe on safari, but it doesn't take away from like knowing the power that these animals, that they could kill you very easily if they wanted to. So like if an elephant is like coming up to you and like trumpeting like, or like a lion is walking right by you, you're like, oh my, I think my heart just stopped beating for a second there. Like it could very easily rip me to shreds if it wanted to, but it's so thrilling. It's like incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were doing like a walking safari at Zimbabwe Trails Camp, and we were just like walking for 2 hours. We didn't really see any animals. And then we were like nearing the end of our walk, and so that's like when you're on foot and then you have like a ranger in front of you with a rifle, who he wouldn't shoot unless
Right.
our lives were threatened, but it wouldn't, they're so well trained that like you wouldn't be put in a position where that would have to happen. Like it just doesn't happen.
Right.
But we, yeah, near the end we like heard some elephants. They were like pretty nearby. They're like trumpeting like and so he's like, okay, do you guys want to go see? And we're like, okay, that's why we're here. So then we like walk up, and I guess like the wind like caught, we see all these elephants, and the wind like must have like carried our scent towards like one of
Uh-huh.
the females, like, and the mama elephants are like you did not want to mess with them because they're protecting their babies. So we were just
Right,
like
sure.
standing from afar, and she somehow noticed us and kind of like took note and became like curious, started like walking towards us, like flapping her ears. I cannot tell you the fear. I was like, this is it for me. Like, this is the end. It was so crazy.
What a way to go.
Oh, I know. But yeah, obviously our ranger, he's like got our back, so he just like motions for us to get behind him, and we just stay together
Right.
in a group and walk back slowly. But we were all like, oh my god, it was such a rush. It was so cool.
When you're at a zoo, you don't have the real interactions, I guess, with the animals. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it
Wow.
was really cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think that there's just something about like actually being in their habitat,
Mhm.
with them that you just can't recreate anywhere.
Totally. Yeah, it's amazing, and it makes you realize that we are just guests on their planet as well. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
this is their home. We're just living in it. So like it's a privilege to even be able to like witness them and like watch them like go on with their day-to-day lives of just surviving essentially.
And that's so much better than sometimes you're places like even here in Thailand, there are a lot of places that use animals as entertainment, like
Yeah.
the elephants and things like that, elephant rides, and like it's cute and they're performing and people think, oh,
Mm,
it's great, I want to get my picture with them, but it's not really an ethical way of interacting with the animals. But I think that doing a
no.
safari and just allowing them to be animals and allowing them to kind of do animal stuff and just live their
Yeah,
real lives is a very, very good way of still
totally.
interacting with them, but in a way that's ethical.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of anything that keeps animals in captivity because that's not where they're meant to be. And then I think with safaris, there's like questions about it as well. Like people will be like, "What are you doing? Leave that elephant alone." But I think that the benefits to safaris, which are like getting to witness the animals, but also not posing a threat to them, and they're habituated to us,
Hmm.
so they don't feel threatened. They are going on with their daily lives. Also, like
Hmm.
tourism dollars are huge for helping anti-poaching efforts and
Yeah.
conservation and even just like education and awareness about these amazing animals that allows us to like keep the properties like fenced off and keep the efforts going to like keep them safe and conserve like their home. I just think that the tourism benefits so outweigh anyone who says that like safari is kind of like intruding on their land. We're actually helping to protect and preserve their land.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about solo travel. We kind of touched on it a minute ago, but my co-host and I, we did an episode about solo travel a little while back. But in the middle of the episode, we realized that, as two guys, we probably have a different perspective than a lot of people in the world. So maybe you can talk a little bit about solo travel as a female adventurer. I mean, you've been to what, like, I think I saw on your website, like 40 something countries.
Yeah, 45. Yeah.
That's incredible. And were those all or mostly solo adventures?
Yeah, especially now I travel solo. Like ever since I did that first trip, it's definitely my favorite way to travel, and I love when like my friends can come meet me or I can meet them or something. But
Hmm.
I love I love the independence. I love being able to do whatever I want. Like I'm worried that I've become like I'm a little too independent. I'm like, okay, I would love you guys to join me, but I want to do my own thing. Like I
Right.
really value like my me time, and I am like I'm like an extrovert as well, so I do like to be social, and like I really value making new connections and meeting new people, and
Hmm.
it's just harder to do that when you have like your comfort blanket of like someone you know that's with you. If
Of
you're
course.
sitting
Yeah.
at a restaurant or the bar or something alone, like there's just a way higher chance that you're going to start talking to someone and meet someone new, or like in the
Yeah.
hostel you'll be pushed more to like speak to other people than you would if you had a friend with you. So
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to be talking with your
yeah,
travel
and
companion.
it's amazing, and you guys make these amazing. I've traveled with my best friend a lot too. Like you make these amazing memories, and it's so nice to have someone who knows you and has your back, and it's so nice if you like forget your wallet or something and then you don't have to deal like
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
nice to
You've got
have
someone to
that.
help you out.
Not that that's the reason, but no, just like the comfort of like having someone that you know and loves you and will like yeah will have your back. But I think with like solo traveling, yeah, it just pushes you out of your comfort zone and ultimately makes
Hmm.
you a more open, more outgoing, more adventurous person. I think it's really valuable.
What is the maybe scariest or most negative experience you've had on a
Hmm.
solo adventure? Have you had any kind of bad experiences? And
Um, I can't think of any real like scary ones or like really bad ones, but I think just like one of the challenges obviously is sometimes it gets so exhausting to like constantly
mhm,
make new friends and like be social. Sometimes you're like, I just want to chill. Like
yeah,
that's kind of why I like being based in Cape Town right now because already have my friends here. I don't have to like go to a new hostel every day and like start talking to people. Like I remember one time in Colombia, I went to Minka, which is like awesome jungle, and then I went down I wanted to do this like overnight hike in Tyrona Park. So I remember like specifically booking like a social hostel the night before the hike because I wanted to meet
mhm,
people there who were going to go on the hike so that I could hike with them. But I also remember getting to that hostel and just being so tired and like just looking out and being like, oh, I don't want to go talk to any of these people. Like I literally just
right,
want to go
yeah,
to bed. So then I did, and I ended up meeting some people on the hike, like that was cool, but they were just doing a day hike, so they weren't staying overnight like I was. So I hiked up with them and then I just stayed overnight like totally by myself. Didn't really talk to anyone. I slept in a hammock surrounded by all these like
mm,
old Colombian men. There was like a Colombian soccer team that was like sleeping there as well. It was so weird, but so it was like such an amazing hike and a really beautiful park, but it's like just because I was solo traveling and I didn't manage to like meet any friends within the 24 hours that
mhm,
I gave myself, it could have been a better experience. So yeah, it's kind of like hit or miss like that. But I mean, I also could have met the best people who were doing the same overnight hike, and we could have had the same.
yeah,
You just never know. So it's like I wouldn't change it, but you do run into times like that where you're like, oh, okay, I'm kind
sure,
of
yeah.
lonely. Sucks to be sleeping in a hammock by myself.
I guess that's really the major downside of solo travel is that if you don't meet anyone, yeah, there is an element of loneliness
Yeah, for
involved,
sure.
and I guess you have to become really comfortable just with yourself as well, and just admit, yeah, sometimes I'm just going to have to be like this, you know,
Total.
and that's
And now I feel like I'm like I love that. Like I feel like solo
yeah,
travel does make you like really comfortable with your own company, which is awesome. But
mhm,
honestly, that barely happens. You most of the time you're with people. So if anyone's listening and is like, "Oh yeah, that's so I'm scared," it's like that never like it's happened like 2% of my entire solo traveling life,
mhm.
where I've been lonely. Other than that, like there's always people around and like people are so friendly because a lot of them are solo travelers as well. So they also want to meet people.
Yeah. So, what are some of your solo travel tips just for practicality and maybe for safety as well? What are some tips that you would have to give to people that are maybe interested in it, but maybe a little bit scared?
Yeah, okay, for like social things, definitely staying at hostels, like even in
Hmm.
like in the dorm bed is so key. I'll often meet people right off the bat and then you can kind of just like go on adventures with them and stuff and like go
Yeah.
do like day trips or hikes or something with people from your hostel. That's really key. For safety, yeah, you just have to keep your wits about you no matter where you are. In Cape Town, I just don't walk by myself after dark. Like I won't walk
Okay.
around. Um, if I'm like 2 blocks from home or I'm going to like I'll get in an Uber. So you just have to kind of like know the area you're in and obviously better safe than sorry and just like trust your gut. If you're like this doesn't feel right, then
Hmm.
maybe take like a different street or get an Uber or yeah, it's best to like travel in groups walk around with like a group of people you met at
Hmm.
the hostel or something. And then obviously I always like carry my purse in front of me and like I don't know, protect your valuables. Don't leave your phone unattended, that kind of thing.
Great. Great. Yeah. Have you ever been in any like a situation that you can think of where being solo really, really benefited you? Like an adventure that really started just because you were alone?
Hard to think of like a specific one, but honestly, like every trip, because I have so many amazing people in my life now that live all over the world. Like I really feel like I have made like so many amazing friends when I've traveled. So I think that's how it benefits me like all the time. Like here in Cape Town, I feel like I've built like a new little like family away from my family here. I feel like so much like love around me, and I just feel like
So, what are some of the maybe best places to travel solo? Like some of the countries that really, really, or that are really good for solo travelers?
yeah, I mean, you could probably vouch for this as well. Like Southeast Asia is it's a
Hmm.
pretty like a common like backpacker route where you're gonna for sure meet other backpackers and solo travelers. So like maybe that's a good one. My first like real travel, I guess, was Europe. I went on a Kentucky tour, and that's kind of good to like just kind of get a taste of what it's like to travel, but also have like the tour group kind of do all the organizing and stuff for you. And Europe is like obviously pretty travel friendly. Like it has,
Yeah.
transportation is good. It's pretty safe. Yeah, that's a good place to do it. But yeah, I think tour groups. That's why like my adventureless tour groups. I want like solo travelers to come on them because I feel like now I've kind of like learned a lot of the ropes when I travel, and I know like I feel like yeah, it's nice if you're like scared to go on your first solo trip, or maybe some places are like harder to travel solo. Like a
Yeah.
safari, for instance, it's kind of hard to go on safari solo. So that's why I like to just like bring together these solo travelers, and then we can all just like become best friends by the end of it, but have an awesome time.
That is awesome. Well, actually, let's talk about it. Let's talk a little bit about that. What
Yeah.
inspired you to start your business?
Oh, okay. So, oh my gosh. So I'm a travel writer. That's like my main like profession, I guess, right now. But and then I do travel content creation. So I do a lot of like collaborations and stuff on Instagram and
Hmm.
my blog, and my background is marketing. So I think it was over COVID, it was over the summer, and I was just like, what can I do? Because I know that I want to do something beyond just like freelance travel writing. I knew that I wanted to like build a brand and like build a business, something that I could be proud of. So literally, I spent so much time being like, what am I going to do? And then it just like came to me one day. I don't know if I had this vision. It's weird because my first vision was like this shirt, which is just like a black t-shirt with like my Adventureless
With the one,
logo
yeah.
on it, which is just like bold white font with the little sparkles, like which I use a lot of time as an emoji because I feel like it represents like magic, and I feel like a lot of the time there's like magic in my life. So anyways, I had this vision of this shirt, and I was just like Adventureless, and basically what Adventureless is everything that I do it putting it out to my audience so that they can get involved somehow. So like the tour groups are a way to like travel with me and like also meet other like-minded adventurers and like go on awesome adventures, because my main goal is for everyone to just get out and adventure and like live their dream lives, because I
Right.
feel like that's what I'm doing. So the tour groups are like an opportunity for us to go out and like experience the world together. And then I also have a travel content creation course and consultation.
Hmm.
So the idea behind that is I feel like I've been able to kind of create my dream life as like a digital nomad and travel content creator. So, I mean, I want others to be able to do the
Hmm.
same. I really feel like, especially with COVID, we've realized that we can work online and we can go live
Yeah.
somewhere that stimulates our soul versus just like being stuck. Like no one's stuck. So my travel content creation course kind of shows the tools to become a travel content creator and like a nomad like I am. So like there's tips on like photography and editing, how to grow your social media, your blog, how to become a travel writer, how to do brand collaborations. Like when I travel, I normally I'll stay at a hostel in exchange for like creating content for them or promoting them. So I'm like cutting costs that way. So I just think that there's a lot of tools that people can do that they can use to like make travel and like living the dream a thing. Like I think it's like so possible if
Yeah.
you really commit to it. And it's not easy. Like I'm only now starting to see like the benefits of it. But yeah, my Adventureless course is trying to share what I've learned along the way. And then the
Hmm.
coaching sessions are also to it gives like a more personal approach to like people's specific goals or what they're working towards. That's that. And then there's also the travel apparel and gear, which is just like the stuff that I wear all the time. And yeah, just kind of like things that I do anyways. And then it also has the other thing is a trip planning component. So people can come to me and I plan their trips for them based on like where I've been, and like
That's
using my
very cool.
connections. And then I'm also an on-call travel buddy. So maybe they are on their first solo trip, but they can like hire Adventureless, and then I'll be there available by text to like talk to them if they're feeling lonely or lost or don't know what to do or
Awesome.
just
Yeah.
want to chat or something. So yeah, like a little on-call travel buddy service.
That's really cool. I think, and that could really help people that are afraid to travel solo for their first time. Having just something like a safety line,
Yeah,
some support network for them.
yeah,
That's really
exactly.
cool.
And I think it can be really intimidating for people if they don't know where to start with like planning their trip. They're like, where do I even go and how do I do it? So
Yeah.
that's where my trip planning service comes in, is like I can do that for you.
That's really cool. So what are your upcoming adventures that you're planning?
Okay, I'm planning a crazy meetup. Okay, I'll just tell you because this podcast isn't airing for like 2 weeks, right?
Sure. And we can wait until
Okay,
you're ready
yeah.
to announce it,
So
right?
I'm planning one right now. It's going to be in the fall, and it's going to be to the Galapagos Islands. So it's going to
That
be a
is so
cruise
cool.
around the islands, and yeah, I'm so excited. I'm working with a company there called Enchanted Expeditions, and I've been chatting to them for like a year, and we just feel like now, because I really want to go and like help create content for them and like experience like their cruises, and I feel like by fall, hopefully, I mean, who knows, but like hopefully there'll be enough like vaccines distributed and like restrictions
Yeah.
might be lifted a bit. But yeah, I'm going. So I hope some people can join me. It's going to be awesome. So this is the exclusive reveal. You heard it here first.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's great. Well, we're definitely going to link to all of that. That is super cool.
Crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's really incredible.
In this business, there's always value for everyone. Like this is how I see like my brand collaborations, because it's like, yes, I get to go on these incredible experiences that I never would have been able to afford, but like I also know the value that I can bring in terms of like spreading the word and like promoting them and leveraging like my platform or whatever to help like drive business towards them. So I really just feel like if you come at it from like an authentic standpoint, like you reaching out to me, this is amazing. Like I'm so happy, and like I know you see value in it as well.
Yeah,
so
a lot of
it
fun.
just works for everyone. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what have been some of the biggest challenges with building your brand? Because I can't imagine that it's easy, is it?
No, but obviously the biggest challenge is launching a travel business during COVID.
Oh, right.
So, like,
I'm sure, yeah.
You know, I can't even really speak to what the normal, I mean, obviously I could tell what the normal challenges are, but like I wanted to do like a tour already, but it's like I can't really encourage international travel right now, or like I can't be planning people's trips when no one's traveling and stuff. So, you know, I had to launch it, and it's been amazing. Like the response has been amazing, and like there's been like some really cool traction, and I know it's only going to go up from here. But yeah, it's like it'll be a lot easier when travel's a thing.
Right. Gosh. Well, hopefully that won't be too far in the future.
No.
I was reading an article the other day about a few different countries in the world, Maldives and a couple other ones, are launching the vaxcations pretty soon, where they're inviting you into the country to get a vaccine and have a 2-week vacation, and you get both shots while you're like at a resort. Yeah. So I think they said
amazing.
Maldives, they said they're going to try to launch it as soon as they've vaccinated most of their population. They're like at 50%.
Yeah.
According to the article I read. So maybe in a couple months, that would be a really cool way to get traveling again.
That is so cool.
In this time.
I love that. You know, there's so many, like, there was a lot of cool things. Like, I think like Barbados and some other places during the height of COVID were like incentivizing people to come visit with like a new digital nomad program, or like extended visa, or, you know, so that people can still visit, because obviously these countries are like suffering with the lack of tourism, so they still want people to visit but do so safely. And that is so cool. To vacation, I love that.
Nothing's official yet, but it's a cool idea.
Yeah,
and I think people would do that.
I mean, it's a win-win. You get your vaccine, so you don't have to worry about COVID anymore, and then you get to go to the Maldives.
Yeah, and you're paying them for a 2-week vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's benefiting from that.
Love it.
Anyway, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But well, you mentioned that a lot of these countries are starting some like digital nomad programs, and I think that's really cool. That's something I wish that Thailand would do. Thailand has really strict visa regulations for living here, but there's a ton of people that are here as digital nomads and, you know, working, I guess, you know, quote unquote illegally.
Yeah.
I've been wanting Thailand to launch some sort of digital nomad visa for a long time. I just think it would be a big benefit to the country. But what do you think are some of the best countries right now to be digital nomads in?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm staying at Atlantic Point Backpackers here, and the owner Tim is like pushing for a digital nomad visa for South Africa as well, because we don't have it here either. Honestly, I'm not totally sure. I think that I would have thought Thailand was one of them, because I feel like there's so many digital nomads there.
It is, but But you have to be on
with the
a tourist
visa.
visa and leave and come back every month or two.
Yeah, do like a freaking visa run, which is like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
No, I think just like I just think wherever people feel is like pulling them because there's Wi-Fi everywhere and you can find a community everywhere. I think it's just like, yeah, because a lot of people are like, I don't know where to go. It's like, just start somewhere and just go wherever you like feel
yeah.
is kind of calling you. And then if you're a nomad, the good news is you should hopefully be able to like pick up and leave if you absolutely hate it. Like I was just
Hmm.
in Tulum in the fall and that's a really big scene for like nomads, but I couldn't vibe with it. I tried. I was there for like
Yeah,
2.5 weeks and I was like, this isn't okay, it's not my place, which is totally fine. Like I have a lot of other places. So then I like kept on going and I loved Puerto Escondido in Mexico. Like that was like
mm.
my new favorite place after Cape Town. But yeah, tons of places to go. Just I think yeah, just wherever feels like inspiring to you. And I think it's so important to like
Yeah,
put yourself in a place where like you feel like you're your happiest self and that's when like the
yeah,
most inspiration can flow in and opportunities can flow in. Like I know that's what's happened to me in Cape Town. I'm here because I love it and that's why I'm having all these incredible opportunities come up because I'm just like putting myself in the best possible place
yeah.
mentally, you know what I mean? Like that's when well I believe in like the power of manifestation, so I believe that like if you manifest, like you have to get out, like put yourself in a place where like opportunities can flow in. I wouldn't be experiencing like these kind of things if I was sitting at home in an office job that I hated.
Right. I mean, if you're not happy, you're not going to be doing your best work in anything, right?
Exactly. I think it's never been easier to like live where you want to live and you know just use your skills and your interests to like create something. I mean there's so many opportunities online and like so many different like networking opportunities with like Facebook groups and just like connecting. I don't know, I
Hmm.
feel like now it's a really exciting time. Maybe that's like the millennial
Yeah.
in me talking and my parents would be like
Right.
ah!
Right.
But yeah, no, I think it's really exciting.
Right.
We can all live our dream lives if we want to.
Generally, the only thing holding us back is ourselves.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, yeah, of course, there's like layers of privilege and like different challenges that
Right.
people face, but I definitely know that if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be able to make it happen. You know what I
Right.
mean? I think that's the biggest key is just believing in yourself and just committing because it does take time and it's not easy and like there's a lot of effort and stuff that comes into like making a life like this work. But if you believe in
Yeah.
yourself, I really think you can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, there's going to be failures along the way. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe 2 weeks back or 2 or 3 weeks back, we released an episode about our failed adventures. Everybody has had failure. Any traveler, anyone that's
Yeah.
done any kind of adventure has had failures, and that's just
Yeah.
part of it. And you have to be willing to accept that, I guess. So I don't know.
Totally.
What kind of failed adventures have you been on? Have you been anywhere where things
Oh
just completely
God.
went wrong? I don't want to be too
Oh,
negative, but sometimes these are the funniest stories.
I know. No, I did the worst one. I feel like this isn't even a good story, but I tell it because it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like when I
Kind of.
traveled, so
Yeah.
I was on this layover. It was on my same trip, Peace Play Passion. I was coming from Hawaii, then I had a 24-hour layover in LA, and then I was flying on like a direct, lovely red eye to Paris.
Okay.
And then my flight was at 20 o'clock, like 20:00, and I was just
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, sweet. Like I see like a bunch of zeros in the time. It's 10 p.m. Didn't think twice that it's actually 8 p.m. Oh my god. I just was like way too casual, like didn't even double check my ticket. I was just like, yeah, my flight's at 10. So obviously I show up to the airport, like missed my freaking flight. So I think I was
Oh.
out like $700. I was just running around LAX like
Oh
crying, being
no.
like, "Get me on the next flight to Europe! Like I don't care."
And to be fair, that's one of the worst airports in the world, too,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
it was. Yeah, I still have like really bad flight anxiety because of that. Like I
Oh
triple
no.
check
Yeah.
my flight times now. Like I'm so
Yeah.
paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the learning lesson. But yeah, and then I ended up staying in LA another night and actually had like an awesome night. Went salsa dancing in Hollywood and got some awesome tacos. So that's kind of the silver lining. I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of see why this happened now. But then
That's
I
good.
had to
Yeah.
then fly through Moscow, Russia, and then down to Paris. And when I got to Paris, like my bags were still in Moscow, and I had to like stay in Paris with no bag. Like it was just an absolute nightmare. So, I mean, lesson learned, check your flight time and learn the 24
Right.
clock.
Yeah, no, that's how they trick us, right? That's
Yeah,
how they trick us North Americans.
I know. I'm like, why can't you just say 8 p.m.? Why did you have to do that to me? Make me use my brain.
Right, right. Yeah, no, it's not easy, is it? It's quite
It's
confusing when you first
difficult.
have to
Yeah.
encounter that.
Yeah, we all have to learn our lessons somehow. Okay, mine was just a little more expensive.
That's right. I mean, every failure does teach us a lesson, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
And and they always make a good story.
Yeah, and I'm over it now. I'm clearly over it.
I don't know who said it, but I saw a quote somewhere that said, adventure starts when things go wrong. Like, that's where your good stories come from. Like,
Oh,
if you
that's
just had
so
a
true.
wonderful vacation, that's nice. But
Yeah,
there's not much of a story to tell by a vacation where everything was just perfect. I mean, even your
exactly.
story about getting scared by the elephant, I mean, that
Yeah.
wasn't part of the plan, but
No.
that's where the best stories come from.
Oh, that's so true. I love that.
Whenever we have a guest in another country, I always like to get some good local recommendations. So if somebody's visiting Cape Town, what do you think is the one place that they have to eat? Food, coffee,
Oh,
dessert, whatever.
God. I don't know. There's so many good restaurants here. I
Yeah.
really love like I love. Okay, this isn't like necessarily because of the food. Not that they don't have good food, but it's called Tiger's Milk
Yeah.
on Camps Bay, and it like looks out onto the beach and the sunset. So I love going there and just getting like some tacos or something, and or like a burger, and they have good like veggie burgers as well. And just like sipping some wine and watching the sunset. That's like as far as like a
Nice.
vibe goes, I really love it there. But there's so many good places. For brunch, there's a restaurant called Our Local, which is like really quirky design, like antiques, and like has like chairs hanging from the ceiling and plants. It has an amazing dish called shakshuka. That's really good. I love
Mm-hmm.
just going to like Bootlegger for coffee or for like with my laptop, like get a coffee and just like work from there for the day. Oh, there's so many.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, Cape Town is a super neat town. Again, I unfortunately I didn't get to spend much time in Cape Town itself,
Hmm.
but what I did see there was really, really nice. We had planned to do all the stuff there, go up Table Mountain, but the day that we were there, it was super foggy,
Oh,
and
really?
it just wouldn't have been nice. You couldn't even see the mountain. But
Oh,
hey, so we
yeah.
thought, well, if we're up there, we're certainly not going to see anything up from the top either.
The craziest thing about Cape Town is it's like low microclimates. Like its clouds are always doing something so crazy. Like sometimes over Table
Mm-hmm.
Mountain, they'll make like we call it like a tablecloth. It's like a little blanket of clouds across Table Mountain, and they just look like they're pouring over like dry ice, just cascading. Like it's so wild. And then yesterday, the main thing you have to do in Cape Town is hike Lion's Head, which is my favorite
Okay.
mountain. It's like it's the best views, the best little workout. It's like about 40 minutes. It's not the easiest hike. Like there's some like ladders and chains and stuff, so you have to be careful. But
Mm-hmm.
it's my favorite. And then yesterday, I did it for sunrise because that's the best time to do it. And there
Mm-hmm.
was like this sea of fog, like a fog blanket, just like
Oh, I
all
love
below
that.
the mountain. That was ridiculous. The second you think you've had like the most magical sunrise up there, or you've seen it all, like Cape Town just like surprises you with something so crazy. Yeah, it's just so magical here. I just want everyone to come and see what it's like because I've never seen anything like it. The way that like the clouds work around here, it's so amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I haven't been in, gosh, years and years. I've hoped to go back to South
Mm.
Africa. It's such a beautiful country. And
You have to let me know if you come because I'll probably be here.
okay, sure, certainly will do. Now, where can our listeners connect with you online?
Me, yeah, I guess if anyone wants to like connect, the best place would probably be my Instagram. So it's my name, Kellie Paxian. So KelliePaxian. My website is on there as well, and then Adventureless, my business, is in my bio. So it's on Instagram. Adventureless is adventureless.travel, and that's the website as well. It's not .com, it's .travel because that's like the new thing.
Cool. Very cool. And I can definitely recommend the content creation course. So check it out, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Great. Well, I am excited to hear about your upcoming adventure, and maybe after you get back from the Galapagos, we'll have you on
Yeah.
again, and you
Oh,
can
that would be
talk about some of
awesome.
your amazing experiences in the future as well.
Cool. Let's do it. Thank you so much.
Well, Kellie, thank you so much, and yeah, hope to talk to you again in the not too distant future.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right, so we're back.
Yes, we are. Great interview.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying talking to people from around the world, hearing their expertise in whatever they do. It was a great time, and as you heard in the interview, we got the worldwide scoop on her next big trip, which you
Hmm.
guys can actually sign up for. I mean, assuming all goes well on the COVID front, you can actually sign up for that next big meetup. And how cool would it be to go to the Galapagos?
The Galapagos is on my bucket list of
That would be super
places.
cool. I know.
I want to see the tortoises, just like chilling. Everything on that island just chills. They're just hanging out, being birds with different beaks.
I would chill if I were there. I'd get a daiquiri. I'm sure they drink daiquiris in Ecuador.
Probably. I don't know anything about Ecuador. I really enjoyed her take on everything because we've kind of talked about this before, the solo travel and the content creating and things like that. But she has more experience than we do.
And she's much better at it than we are.
Yes,
Been a lot more places than you and I combined,
probably most people combined.
and solo, and has learned all of these things. And so that was really the reason that we wanted to have her on, because yeah, you and I have done some solo traveling like we talked about in that other episode.
Nothing like that. With when
Nothing
her
like
first
that.
solo trip is a 6-month world tour. Like, come on.
That's amazing. I know. And I really enjoyed hearing just a different perspective from somebody that's doing this full time and
Hmm.
actually has made a life and a career out of it.
So, out of it, what was your favorite part of the
You know
interview?
what? I think what I really enjoyed was hearing how excited and passionate she was about what she's doing. You know, this is a project that we have that I really enjoy. And I hope that eventually I can get to a point where I'm as passionate about this podcast, because I think that's really the key to success in a lot of this is you have to really love what you're doing. And just from talking to her, you could really tell how passionate she is about traveling and getting other people to travel. And I think that's really important. And I think a lot of people don't have that in what they do. And, you know, and passion doesn't always mean just being happy and enjoying it. It means doing it even when you don't want to because you love it.
Right. And it means getting out of your comfort zone. And we talked about that on our episode, is that the best trips come from when you get out of your comfort zone.
For sure.
Like, yeah, going to a resort and hanging out is all well and good. And
Yeah.
sometimes you need that. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
But much better stories come out of getting lost in the jungle or
Right. Or getting scared by an elephant.
getting
Like
scared
so.
by an elephant, like she said. And I really like that. I like that it's sort of the same mindset when it comes to adventuring. It was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And I told you this, James. After I finished the interview, I messaged you. I'm like, you know what? I am so inspired now. Like I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling motivated. Right. Like I met somebody that makes this work as a lifestyle. Like just talking to her was so motivating.
Hmm.
And you know, she kept saying, you know, if I can do this, anyone can do this. You know, I want everyone to kind of achieve their dream and to work towards this. And it was great. I felt really inspired to redouble our efforts on this project.
Yeah, and I liked what she said about, you know, COVID being kind of an eye opener for a lot of people, where it's like, well, why wouldn't I do it?
Right. Nowadays, we realize that almost every job can be done online. You know,
Hmm.
it's not like you have to get really lucky as a travel blogger or get really lucky and find a remote job, because now,
Like most
for
of them.
more than a year, most jobs have been remote, you know?
So yeah, even if you can't make a living simply off traveling and making blogs and
Yeah.
vlogs and things like that, you can still live in a cool place
Yeah,
and
for
live where
sure.
you want to live.
And yeah, COVID really kind of helped us to slow down. I know this phase of COVID was long ago. This is like the very first phase when
Yes.
everybody was talking about like, oh, COVID made me think about what's really important in life. Now everybody's just depressed and lonely. But but at the early days of COVID. But it still was something that we all kind of experienced and thought about at
Yes.
that time. And that's very important. And she's absolutely right on that.
I enjoyed hearing her talk about just Cape Town in general. I know very, very little about
Mm-hmm.
South Africa, especially.
Cape Town is cool, and that was really, really fun. And I would love to go hiking there now.
Hmm.
That's something I didn't get the chance to do when I was in South Africa.
Go to
And
Drakensberg Mountains.
yes, I'd love to go to Kruger. That safari sounded amazing. That's also a bucket list thing, to do a big safari like that. Yeah, it was so much fun to do, and I really appreciate her coming on the show and taking the time to hang out with us and talk to us a little bit about. That's what I want these interviews to be like, just people who have had interesting experiences come on and kind of tell stories.
We will definitely try and have her back on.
Yeah, maybe we can reach out to her after she gets back from her Galapagos adventure, because I think that I would personally love to hear about that.
Well, everyone, make sure you go check out Kellie Paxian. She is
Yes,
great.
yeah, follow her on Instagram because her Instagram is incredible. It's really
Hmm.
cool. Sign up for her content creation course and check out her page, her travel page, to see maybe where her next adventures are. But yeah, follow her blog. It's very, very cool, and she's had a lot of great experiences that I think our listeners would be really interested in learning more about.
Yep. Thank you, Kellie.
Yes, thank you so much. James, it's time for our favorite segment, Adventures in the News.
I have an update on the Deep Time study.
Yes,
After 40
yes,
days, 15 French volunteers have left the cave without daylight or clocks.
I love it. So, listeners, a couple weeks ago, we found an article about a French team doing an experiment where they were trying to figure out the effects on the human body and psyche of existing outside of time. To do so, they were placed inside a cave with no sunlight and no clocks, where they had a bicycle powered generator. So they did have electricity. But 40 people were not trapped, but were placed inside this cave together to see how they did. And this was kind of to help to see what maybe possible future space travel will be like for
Hmm.
long-term space missions, Mars missions, stuff like that. And and they're out now.
Deep Time Project investigated how a lack of external contact would affect sense of time, and 2/3 wanted to stay longer.
Really, I can understand them like doing it for 40 days, but wanting to stay longer than 40 days in a cave?
Marina Lenson, I don't know how to speak French, said it was like pressing pause. She did
Hmm.
not feel any rush to do anything and wished she could have stayed in the cave a few days longer. She was happy to feel the wind and hear bird songs again.
I understand that, actually.
She said she had plans to avoid looking at her phone for a few more days.
It actually seems like it went a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
It did.
I thought they would all hate each other by the end.
Yeah, and it's as expected. Those in the cave lost all sense of time. There's no natural light. There's no
Hmm.
anything. The time estimated was around 30 days. So they estimated they'd been in the cave about 10 days shorter than they actually had, with one team member saying around 23. And it's because when you're not measuring time in hours or minutes or whatever, they're simply going by sleep cycles. And you have no idea how long you slept. You can't even judge, like, oh, I'll go to sleep and it'll be tomorrow when I wake up. Because you might wake up 3 hours later. Who knows?
And if you don't have a
Um,
clock and if you don't see the sky, you're going to have no idea.
Johann Francois, math teacher and sailing instructor, ran 10,000-meter circles in the cave to stay fit.
Hmm.
He said he sometimes had visceral urges to leave.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
With no daily obligations and no children around, the challenge was to profit from the present moment without ever thinking about what will happen in an hour or 2 hours, which is very true. Everything that we do is like, what am I going to do in an hour?
Right. It's all based on our schedules.
The team members followed their biological clocks to know when to wake up, go to sleep, and eat.
The interesting thing is they're not necessarily researchers either. I'm sure some of them are, but like they weren't like researching the cave while they were in there, because you
No,
can almost understand a team that's like researching the cave. What were they doing every day?
they had like projects. 2/3 of the participants expressed a desire to remain underground a little bit longer to finish group projects started during their stay. So
Mm,
I'm pretty sure they didn't have a goal. If you have a goal, you don't get the full extent of how your brain is reacting,
right.
because it becomes, how do I fill this time?
That's fascinating. I would like to try to go through a day or two without a clock and just see what it's like. Like, don't schedule anything. Just have a day or two of no time schedule. That'd be a fun thing to do. I think that'd be very beneficial for all of us to do at some point.
It's very, very interesting, and we'll put a link to the updated
Yeah,
article.
that's cool. I'm really glad to catch up with them and see what they're up to. And I'm glad it went well, and I'm glad that they learned something. So
Yes.
I do think it's a valuable experiment, and it sounds super cool. Deep time. I like
I know.
it.
I don't even know what that means.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening. Again, a big, big thank you to Kellie for coming on the show today and talking with us. Want to give everybody another reminder of our monthly challenge this month. It's to go out and show us your favorite local spot. Take a picture, #attemptedventure, or send it to us via email, hello@attemptedventure.com. As always, you can find us on our website, attemptedventure.com, also on Facebook and Instagram as Attempted Venture. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Yeah, give us a like, give us a review, preferably 5 stars, but make it fair. And tell your friends. We will look forward to catching up with you next week, where we've got another great guest, and we hope you'll enjoy that one equally. Till next time, keep adventuring.